Welcome. This is the Building Consultant Show. My name is Sam Onywike. I'm your host. Here, we seek to educate, challenge, and inspire you on your journey of construction. On today's episode, we are looking at what is the difference between the architect and the engineer. We've kept on mentioning that we'll be discussing, and so today we want to have a look at the difference between the two, or what does it mean when you talk about the architect, what does it mean when you're talking about the engineer. In Kenya, these terms are very confusing and many times are used interchangeably, especially to people who are new in construction. We understand that some other countries, the architect can also function as the engineer, or the engineer could refer to both the architect and the engineer together. But here in Kenya, the situation is a bit different, and even though their job description would seemingly be closely related, there is a remarkable difference between the two. So, who is an architect? Who is an engineer? In here we are referring primarily, the engineer we are referring to is the structural engineer, because we understand there are also other kind of engineers. We have an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, water engineers, we have roads engineers, we have engineers. Of course, there are all kinds of engineers. I recently heard of a term, a media engineer, sound engineer, so on and so forth. But today we are focusing on the structural engineer. So the architect is the person who focuses on the form and function of the structure. That is, the architect designs the space, that is the allocation of rooms, how the rooms will be shared, and the sizing of those rooms. He is also interested on the appearance and the functionality of that house. So that is the architect in a nutshell. While the engineer is one who focuses on the strength and the stability of that house. In short, we can say that the architects design the space, the engineer designs the stability. If we look at our bodies, we have what we call the flesh and we have what we call the skeleton. Just the same way the body has a skeletal system, also the building has a structural skeletal system. The flesh that we talk about, the body, the outward flesh, is what gives us the appearance. It protects, it also covers the skeleton and the inner parts of our body, and also helps us to function. However, it is the skeleton that will give the body its stability and strength. However, it is the skeleton that gives the body the strength and stability. So this is a good analogy that can help us to understand where the architect comes in and where the engineer comes in. So we ask, who is important between the two? Having understood what is the difference between the architect and the engineer, the structural engineer, then who would be very important in the building? I want to say this, that both are important in a building, and none is of less importance. Because in as much that the developer wants to have the right kind of house, the specification that they want, they also want the house to remain stable. Buildings don't fall because they are not beautiful, and even buildings can be very stable and strong, but they are not aesthetically pleasing. So we need to have a balance between both. But I would also want to say that the engineer has an understanding of understanding on the architectural work, whereas the architect also has a bit of understanding on the structural work. So that helps them to work seamlessly and to be able to partner efficiently in terms of developing the agenda. It takes a team for a project to succeed. So we need to have both the architect and the engineer be part of the team that will ensure that the building is efficient, is strong, it is working, and it meets the desired output. Now, realizing that the architect and the engineer are both important, then it begs the question, can an architect operate as an engineer as well? So instead of hiring the engineer, I hire an architect who will also double up as an engineer, or even vice versa. Can I hire an engineer who will also double up as an architect? Well, in as much we say that they have a bit of understanding of each other's work, for you to be qualified to function as an architect, a minimum of a degree in architecture in a recognized university, and for you to also operate as an engineer, you also need to have a minimum requirement of a degree from a recognized university in Kenya, or maybe abroad for that matter. Besides qualification, the architect and the engineer are also registered in their professional bodies. We have a body that registers architects and a body that registers the engineers. So if you want to know a list of the architects that are registered, you can visit the website or the portal for the registered architects that are registered under Borax. And for the engineers, you would need to look at the name or the number of the engineer in the list of the registered engineers under the Engineers Board of Kenya website. So that is it for today, discussing about the engineer and the architect. I hope that you have come to an understanding of the difference between the two and why you need both of them in your building to ensure your building is safe, is workable, and it is efficient, and it looks good, and it meets what you have at heart. Thank you guys for tuning in for today's episode. We look for more. Kindly subscribe and click the like button. Thank you.